Ah, 4 o'clock. Okay. I'm going to call to order the 4 o'clock hearing for today upon the application of Terrence Mulhern by his attorney, Marion McKettrick, dated October 26, 2022, on file with the Board of Appeals for a special permit allowing an addition which would violate the terms of Section 6C3 side yards of the Milton zoning bylaw. The applicant proposes to build a 19 by 30 by 2-story addition on the left side of his home at 247 Edge Hill Road. A plot plan dated August 25th, 22 shows that this addition will be built at a distance of 14.1 feet from the left side property line when 20 feet are normally required on corners. The property lies in a Residence C zoning district. And we have a number of things in the in the file. We have an application of the Mulherns as well as a denial letter from the building department. We have a letter from their attorney, Attorney Marion McKettrick, explaining some of the more interesting features of what their application is proposing. There's a plot plan of Robert Rosengrave, and architectural floor plans, elevations of each side of the proposed building. There's a deed showing their ownership of the building and a neighborhood map showing the locus, as well as property record card from the town of Milton. So I'd like to welcome the Mulherns and their attorney, Marion McKettrick, to the Board of Appeals and explain their application in a little more detail.
Well, good evening, or good afternoon, I should say. I'm Marion McKettrick. I represent the applicants. I'm going to explain the application, and I believe their architect is, no, I'm not sure. Yes, their architect is also here if there are any questions that we might want to ask the architect. So as the chair indicated, this is a 19-foot by 30-foot by 2-story addition. It's proposed to be constructed on the left side of the house as you face it with your back to Edge Hill Road. This home at 247 Edge Hill Road is located on a corner lot, and it is a non-conforming lot of 6,611 square feet. The house was constructed in 1971. It's not historic. However, a variance was issued at the time or prior to the construction of the house, allowing this lot at a non-conforming area and also some non-conforming frontages. So that's why this is a non-conforming lot, and this is why, in addition to this non-conforming lot, requires a special permit. The notice of the variance was recorded at book 4738, page 116. And that it basically just states that it's allowing a lot of this size. The building commissioner has pointed out in his denial letter that the applicants are intensifying the nonconformity because their new addition will create a setback on Garden Street of 14.1 feet rather than 20 feet. So that's the intensification. In other respects, the addition is consistent with the existing house. The house is 2 stories. The addition will be 2 stories. The design of the addition is very similar to the design of the house. It's just extending it to the left, adding more windows on each side. The applicants and their 2 very young children live in this home with Mrs. Mulhern's parents. The parents have sold their home. They live nearby prior to this time. So the purpose of the addition is to add bathrooms and bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a family room on the first floor. It's not a separate apartment, but the added space will definitely improve the living area for this extended family. And this is a permanent living arrangement they're looking forward to for many years. So having this increased space will make a big difference for this family. The applicants have consulted with their neighbors throughout this process. And for this hearing, they've provided signatures in support of their application from 232, 241, and 257 Edge Hill Road, and numbers 6, 49, 55, and 117 Garden Street. So that's a very quick summary of the application. I think we're available to answer questions, unless Terry and Caitlin want to add anything. Anything else you want to say at this time, either of you? Okay, so we're ready for questions.
Okay. Let's see, we have received, I'm just wondering if there's anyone else that wants to speak for or against the application that's waiting in the wings.
There is Glenn Hoffman. Hold on just a second.
And I will ask everybody that speaks that let us know what your name and address is so that we can put you in the record. Mr. Hoffman? You need to unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Glenn Hoffman. I'm the architect of record for the project, and I just like to reiterate that we designed this project very much trying to stay contextual within the neighborhood. I actually had a little confusion with I actually thought we were within the zoning, and after discussing with Joe, I realized it's not the line of the street, it was the line of the property, and that's why we were seeking the relief. But
Mhm.
I do believe this project, it is contextual with the neighborhood. I think it'll fit right, and I think it'll actually improve the fabric of that corner there.
Okay, thank you. Well, seeing we have no more input here,
just-
so we do, huh?
Yes.
Okay, Elizabeth Bull,
Yes, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, thanks. So great, I'm Elizabeth Bull. I live at 49 Garden Street. My parents bought the house in 1980, and then I grew up here, and I bought it from them in 2014. And now I'm raising my kids here with my husband, who's actually a math teacher at Pierce. So we are here to stay. And I never knew the residents in the Mulhern's house growing up. I never knew who they were, and which is strange in this type of neighborhood. And so I'm really glad that they're there and that they want to be part of the community, and they come to the block party, and their kids come out and they play with us. And Caitlin's parents are lovely too. So I really hope that the town's able to grant their request so that we can have them stay in our neighborhood. It's just great to have them here, and I hope that they're able to stay. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Thank you. Anyone else, Crystal?
Thank you.
No, Jenny.
Okay, well, I'm going to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing and deliberate on this application right now. I've looked at the drawings and the elevations, and I realized that this is a house that, if it were not in a corner, would only be looking for 10 feet, and they would not be within the 20 foot setback on it for a corner lot, which poses a bit of a hardship. It's a well-designed house made to go with the current house, and I think that it's a fabulous idea to have multi-generational families living together. And so I find that there is that this will be an enhancement to the neighborhood in many ways, and that it will not denigrate from the zoning bylaw, but in fact will accommodate a family that very much wants to live together and stay together. So I am voting for the application, and we'll be putting together a decision. And when the decision is filed, it needs to be filed with the town clerk, and at that point, a 20-day appeals period start. It's generally not something that anybody has to worry about, but there is a 20-day appeal period before you can pull the building permit for this. And then you also probably will not want to take a copy of the decision and file that with the registry of deeds, so that it keeps your deed updated saying that this has been allowed, and it's not it is legal addition to your home. So congratulations on your permit, and many years of happy living together.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you want me to provide some kind of rough draft, I'd be happy to do that. You can just let me know or tell me
That
tonight
would
if you
be
want.
great.
Okay,
would be
thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Great.
And now it's cup of tea time, perhaps.
Yes, it is.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes. All right, Ginny, you're on mute.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you. Okay, we're starting the second hearing of the evening upon the application of John Clark and Julie Flanagan by their attorney, Marion McKettrick, dated December 5th, 2022, on file with the Board of Appeals, for a special permit allowing an addition and dormer, which would violate the terms of section 6C3 side yards of the Milton zoning bylaw. The applicant proposes to remove an existing 9 by 10, 2.5 foot, 2.5 story addition on the rear of their home and build an 11 by 10 foot by 2.5 floor addition, and to build a 7 foot by 15 foot shed dormer at the third level on the left-hand side, all at 35 Granite Place. A plot plan dated August 25th, 2022 shows that the rear addition will be built at a distance of 13.9 feet from the left side property line, and the dormer would be built at a distance of 11.6 from the same left side property line when 20 feet are normally required. This is another house on a corner where the 20 feet apply. The property lies in a Residence C zoning district. All and in the file, we have the application for the building permit and the denial letter from the building department. We have a letter from the applicant's attorney, Marion McKettrick, who will expound upon that in a few moments, stating what needs to be done and why they think that it should be done. There's a plot plan from September 20th, 2022 by Robert Hennigan, architectural plans for including floor plans of all 3 floors, elevations from all sides of the house showing how the house will look in the future, as well as other building details. There's a map of the neighborhood, the deed showing ownership of the property, and property record card from the town of Milton. As well, there's a document that is signed by 10 neighbors, including, it looks to me like certainly on one side anyway, the neighbors most affected by this application. So I will turn it over to Attorney McKettrick and present the application.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Marion McKettrick, and I've been working with John and Julie on this application for a while. I came into it after they had applied for their initial building permit. They needed to modify their plans a bit. Building commissioner asked for more information. And at that point, they asked me to work with them on it and to represent them at their Board of Appeals hearing. So I'm happy to be here tonight. And you've heard the dimensions for the new addition. I think just for some background, it's important to understand, yes, this is a corner lot. This is in this area of Milton that's fairly historic. There are a lot of older Victorians, and then other homes that are sometimes some very small ones that are very old. This is one of those rather old ones. This house was constructed in about 1870. At this point, it's on a 6,931 square foot lot, so that's non-conforming. Of course, the house as it is right now is legal because it certainly predates zoning. in order to add on to a non-conforming house at non-conforming setbacks, this one is only 11.6 feet from Brackett Street rather than 20 feet. You need a special permit from the Board of Appeals. First of all, this is a total renovation that the applicants are doing in their home. So not only will there be an addition, but the interior of the house is going to be completely renovated. This house was quite dated when they purchased it. And so it will be updated, modernized, and then there will be the additional space provided by this addition. It's replacing an existing addition. It's only slightly larger and a little bit, because of the shed dormer, a little bit bigger than the existing addition, but it will be modern and there will be plenty of space for this family. The family consists of the parents, and there are 3 children, ages 4, 7, and 11. The renovation will upgrade the home. It will create much more comfortable living space for this family, but it will still fit in with this neighborhood. And that's kind of important because this is well, we all like our neighborhoods in Milton, but this is a particularly charming one and interesting one. And it's always nice to see somebody, rather than removing a house and building something that doesn't fit in, that they're taking the existing house and just adding on to it in a way that I think is quite tasteful and fits in with the neighborhood. When this is completed, the exterior, the windows, everything will be consistent throughout, and it will be a very attractive home when the renovation is finished. I believe it will improve and not detract from the neighboring properties. And as the chair has told you, there are the applicants have been consulting with their neighbors, and they've provided signatures in support of their application from number 4, 10, 15, and 18 Brackett Street, and number 4, 31, and 54 Granite Place, as well as 17 Bates Road. So that's a quick, quick summary of the application. The applicants are here tonight. Is there anything you want to add, John and Julie, to my comments?
No, that's great. It sounds great.
I think it'd be wonderful if we can do it.
Yeah, well, the house is going to stay the same looking. It's from the outside. It's not going to be a huge addition at all. Like she said, we're just going over 2 feet on the side. So it's really just, excuse me, changing it slightly. And we love the neighborhood. We actually lived a few streets over a few years ago and bought this house because we really loved this house. We loved the location. We love our neighbors so much. It's my favorite neighborhood in the whole world. So I would never want to change it to be anything less than what's already there. We just wanted to improve upon it on the 3rd floor so that we can have living space for 2 of my oldest kids, and then the other 2 bedrooms on the 2nd floor will be for myself and my husband and my other daughter. So we would just love to have the approval so we can finish the house and get in there.
Okay, thank you. I must say the plans look extraordinarily wonderful. So congratulations on that. But I was wondering if there's anyone that wanted to speak for or against the application?
I don't see anyone, Jenny.
Okay, well then I'm going to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing and expound on why I am going to, in fact, grant the special permit for this. This is something that, this is a house that looks like it has really taken a lot of thought and love for the house and the neighborhood in considering what to put on this non-conforming lot, pre-existing legal non-conforming lot. And I think that you've really done a wonderful job in maximizing the space that you have there without encroaching upon neighbors any more than they are right now. It's really quite de minimis what you're asking for on the special permit. And I feel that this is going to be, a wonderful addition for you. And I think that it's going to I think it's going to be an asset for the neighborhood as well, with updating, an older house to, the 21st century standards and so forth. So I am approving I'm voting to approve of the application, and we will be getting a decision out to you that Once it's filed with the town clerk, there's a 20-day appeal period, during which time somebody that might not have come forward could in fact appeal it. It doesn't happen often, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. And after the 20 days, then you can get the building permit for the pieces of your construction that that need the special permit to continue with your construction. So congratulations.
Yeah,
And
so
good luck completing everything in your house.
Appreciate it.
thank you. We're excited.
You should
Thank you
be.
very much. And if you'd like me to do a rough draft, if that would help speed
Yes,
things
thank
along
you.
for you, I'm happy to do it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
All right,
Good
thank you.
evening. Good afternoon, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, another 5 minutes, Jenny.
Yep.
All righty. I think we're all set, Jenny. I think we have everyone.
Okay, great. And it is 4:30. So I'm going to call to order the meeting, the third hearing of the afternoon. By the way, I'm Virginia Donahue King. I am a member of the Board of Appeals as well as the zoning administrator, and I will be constituting the board at this hearing. This application is on the is of Michael and Caitlin Capasso, dated October 11th, 2022, on file with the Board of Appeals for a special permit allowing a sunroom addition, which would violate the terms of section 6D1 rear yards of the Milton zoning bylaw. The applicant proposes to build a 16 by 20 by 1-story sunroom on the existing deck at the rear of their home at 23 Cottage Place. A plot plan of August 26, 1996 shows this addition would be built at a distance of 16.58 feet from the rear lot line when 24.3 are normally required. The property lies in a Residence C zoning district. And in our file on the application, we have the application as well as a denial letter from the building commissioner. We have a letter from Kevin Kieber, the chief designer of Brady Built. We have a plot plan of August 26, 1996 of Lawrence DeSalle. And we have 21 sheets of drawings of the sunroom submitted by Brady Built. We have a photo of the current deck. We have letters stating, this letter is in reference to the room that Michael and Caitlin Capasso are seeking to construct at 23 Cottage Place. We've reviewed the plans that are in support of the addition, and those are signed by Michael and Betty Regan to the rear at 24 Maitland Street, Robert Locke on 15 Cottage Place, and Timothy Rafferty at 12 Cottage Place. We also have a letter submitted by Thomas and Mary Padavina of 33 Cottage Place, who are direct abutters to the left side of the instant property. And they have submitted a letter against this for a number of reasons. We can be getting into them a little bit later, but they offer a multitude of photographs showing some of the congestion in the area and the light pollution from the area. So, I will welcome the Capassos to the Board of Appeals and ask them to give me an idea of what it is that they are looking to do with their home. Welcome to the Board of Appeals. Oh, and if you just state your name and address before speaking.
Do you want to go ahead, Caitlin?
Sure. Caitlin Capasso, 23 Cottage Place. Hello.
Okay, and
You go.
would you,
Yep, I'm Mike Capasso. I'm 23 Cottage Place.
okay,
And I am Nate Cosper from Brady Built, the president of Brady Built here representing the Capassos
Okay.
for this application.
okay.
Um, So
And-
I'm representing them because they would like to convert a portion of their deck into a sunroom spot. The deck is mostly unusable now due to a variety of weather, wind, snow, rain, bugs on the decks. They don't get as much use out of it as they would like. And the Capassos have a family that's growing bigger and they desperately need more space in the house. During the process of the permitting application, we realized that the Capassos had filed for a variance back in 1996 to build this deck. The variance was needed because of the rear yard setbacks, as you mentioned. And in order to convert the deck into a sunroom or living space, the zoning laws require a special permit to show that it's not more detrimental to the neighborhood. The house is pre-existing non-conforming, and we feel that this sunroom addition will not be more detrimental for a variety of reasons. One is because it's entirely on the back of the house. It's not going to be seen from the street. The sunroom is designed to accentuate the look of the current architecture of the house. It will blend in nicely. The siding, the exterior of the sunroom is going to be a nice, consistent look with the existing house and in keeping with the quality of the neighborhood. And we do have several letters of support there. I actually haven't seen the one that is against this, so I'm not sure exactly what issues that they're bringing up. We do believe that the special permit can be granted without detriment to the neighborhood and without substantially derogating from the spirit and intent of the zoning laws. And we do respectfully request that you grant this special permit.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to add in addition to this? Let me ask some questions then, because I do have a number of them. Although we have a lot of pages of what this sunroom might be looking like, we really don't have any idea of what it will look like on this house. There's no elevations of that, no drawings of how it will look. There's a lot of kind of technical information that has to do with the building of it, but it's really difficult to see what this is going to look like. And I forgive me, but I looked at the house today and I was not sure how you can call what was submitted on those plans are consistent with the house that's there right now. So I'm in need of a lot more information than I have, and I was wondering if you could supply some of that. I don't know if you have drawings that could be just a little bit less conceptual and more concrete.
Yes, that is possible to get drawings like that. I don't have, is it something that I can share with you right now?
I don't know if you have anything that would be able to, come up to that level or not. If you do, that would be nice. If not, well, the other thing is, because there is a direct abutter that is against this, and with cause. As I mentioned, with their letter, they submitted the 1996 decision of the Board of Appeals that allowed the deck to be there. And stated in that, something is, the members stated that they were concerned with the height of the deck and the possibility that the area underneath would be used for storage. It would be unattractive for the neighborhood. So it raises further concern today as we're asking not just for that open space of a deck, which is less dense than a room would be, a sunroom would be. It's already, the Board of Appeals, back, almost 30 years ago, said that there was a concern about having something at that height in that much of the setback of the rear yard. And so having an addition of a sunroom of 24 by 16 feet at that level is a huge amount of greater, the house is far more in the setback. The house would be far more in the setback than would be allowed, and I don't have information that that's not going to be detrimental to the neighborhood. And in fact, you know, a neighbor that's abutting believes that that's going to be a problem. And I have to listen to that. I have to listen to that because it occurs to me too, when I looked at it too today. It's a huge amount of room to put on the back there. It's a rather high level. It's the first floor of the home is high. And so, you know, it looks to be, you know, maybe 10 feet or so high. That's a lot to put in a backyard. So unless it was something, well, unless it was something that could be visualized. And the other thing is, I'm concerned that there's nothing that the drawings that are supplied are kind of generic as far as you know, what it's going to look like on this particular house. There isn't anything for that, and so there's nothing that we can hold the building inspector to for looking to see that this is in fact being built according to specifications, because we don't have those specifications. So I'm finding that even if I'm finding that the application is thin, and I don't have enough information that I can find for granting the permit for this. So anyway, that's my, go ahead. Did you have something that you wanted to say?
No, I was waiting for you to finish. I'm sorry.
So I don't have enough today at all to make this decision that would be fair to everybody. My inclination would be to not grant it today, to be very frank. I don't know if you can, and even if you were to have all of those things, the only thing that they would be used for is if they could be used to convince your neighbors that we're not happy with the application. If they were to agree with it, saying, oh yes, after all, it's beautiful, I'd love to have that next door to me. But we don't know that right now. And so since there is somebody who is a direct abutter that is not happy with the application as it stands right now, and for good reason, it's not something that, you know, they're being peevish or anything. So so unless that's something that could be presented to the Patavinas, I think this is not something that's going to be approved tonight or any other night.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
The proposed sunroom only affects the abutters to our rear, all of whom have submitted letters approving it. The Patavinas
I only have one. I only have one from Maitland Street.
Oh, there's,
Regan.
you should have three. The two directly behind us, George and Terry.
Where our property aligns and abuts them, and where they can actually.
I have Michael and Betty Regan at 24 Maitland Street, and the other two are on Cottage Place.
There should be 5 total. There should be three on Maitland and two on Cottage
I don't
Place.
have those.
I'm gonna look in my files right now to see if I have anything. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. Because, you know, our home sits on the right of our property. If you're looking at the front of our home and looking at our property as a whole, right? And the Patavinas, and we have, you know, what is essentially a double lot where we have a very large side yard, and the Patavinas are on the far left to that. And this addition wouldn't impact that side of the yard at all. We're not moving over onto that side of our house. We're not, it's nothing that would impact their property. In fact, who it would impact are the people who have approved it and have written letters in our support of that. And we worked pretty extensively with Brady and their architects to ensure that the size of this room matches exactly the footprint of the current deck, so that, you know, partially because of our neighbors behind us, we know that our deck is close to the property line when it was granted back in '93 before we lived here. And we were very thoughtful and considerate about creating some closure around the back of that addition, so as to, you know, think about the Regans who are directly behind us and what they can see when they look out their back window at our yard. You know, that was something that we spent a lot of time talking about with the architects and going over that with the Regans as well, which is why I believe they're in support of it, is that, you know, we were really seeking to collaborate with them so that any kind of addition to our home would be something that they would be happy looking at when they look out their dining room. I know that they sit at their dining room table there because of their window, you know, that when they're looking at it, it's something that they're happy looking at. And they have been very good neighbors to us for almost 11 years now. So it does upset me a little bit that the Padavinas wrote that letter without speaking to us about it. It doesn't impact them or their side of the
You
property.
can't even see it. The garage is in the way
Well-
of their view of
Well,
the,
they have submitted some photographs that show that you can see it. And so it might not be the full bulk of it as it would be from the rear of the yard, but it is still something that's there. And getting a special permit is not something that is a vote of the neighborhood. It's looking at the people that can be most affected. And, you know, they have property rights in their own land, and they expect to be protected by the bylaw. And so the zoning bylaw, and the zoning bylaw permits structures to be added to when it's not going to denigrate from the neighborhood. And unfortunately, you know, this is a very bulky, it's a bulky addition at a height. And so I can understand, I don't think that they're being mean about it or anything, but I can't help but notice that there isn't a letter of agreement with the plans, and they are abutting neighbors, and that would have been a really good thing to put with your application for doing something that
Well, I mean, I understand that, but as you, if it is true that it's not a vote of the neighborhood, right? So if that's gonna be your argument, we were really thinking, who are the people who are directly impacted? And as your letter states that you sent out about the permit, that it affects the abutting neighbors to the rear of the property. So, you know, quite honestly, that was our thinking. And
Can I
you know,
just jump
furthermore,
in
I
here?
mean, the Padavinas had a variance for their home to be extended into beyond their space as well. So,
well,
you know,
that's
here
a
we are.
different, that's a different thing that we're not litigating today. What we're talking about is this particular application, and you know, at some point when somebody else had applied for an application to build something, you know, the neighborhood was made up perhaps with different people at that time. Different people have different property interests than the makeup of the neighborhood could today. And so we have to be very aware of it. We can't decide which of our neighbors are going to be the ones that affected. We have to kind of, to get something like this to happen, you need to have some cohesiveness with the neighborhood, and you know, have people that feel that their desires have been somewhat taken into consideration. Now, that does not mean that if you have neighbors that just don't want anything there ever, 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 that necessarily is going to happen. Basically, I have to make the decision if this is something that's going to denigrate from the zoning bylaw to the detriment of the neighborhood. And it's tough because I don't live in that neighborhood, but I'm trying to do this on an even keel, and think of everybody's thoughts on the whole thing. The people that have property rights, your neighbor's property rights, the views and so forth. And so, so I have to make a decision that this doesn't denigrate from the zoning bylaw. And there's a historical phrase here that we have to look at, that the members of the board in 1996 were concerned about the height of it. So now we're making that, another story higher. And that's significant. It's significant. So,
is it possible to defer our application to a later meeting so that we can have time to put together a more comprehensive package? You mentioned it looked a little bit thin, but put some better views and maybe have a chance to build these better views and go and approach the Padavinas with them and talk to them and show that it won't be denigrating from the neighborhood. How would we go about getting a delay?
well, I think, Crystal, are the Padavinas in the waiting area?
They are.
They are. Would they like to be promoted to a panelist right now so we could get their thoughts on this?
They don't have their hand raised, but if they would like to, I can transfer them over. I did look back and we have 10 Maitland and 26 Maitland support letters. Those are the only two I could find.
Oh, really? Okay.
10 and 26.
There should also be one from 24, but
Okay.
it may have just been inadvertently not sent. But we do have one.
24, no, I do.
Kevin had sent me the 10 and 26 after
Okay.
the application was filed. I have Michelle Briggs. Is she a neighbor? She has her hand up.
Okay. Okay,
you want me to-
let's promote her and hear what she has to say on the matter.
Okay. All right, she should be coming right over. And the Padavinas still have not raised their hands, so I'm not sure if doesn't seem like they really want to talk. Up. All right, they have their hand raised now. And we lost Michelle. I promoted her over, but I don't know. It looks like she might have signed off accidentally. Oh, there she
Here's
is.
Michelle. Yep.
Here's Michelle, and the Padavinas should be coming right over.
Okay, great.
All righty.
And if Michelle could unmute herself and let us know what her thoughts are on the matter. If you would give us your address before speaking, that would be great.
I'm trying to start the video too. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. Here we
here
go.
we are.
This is Stephen and Michelle Briggs. We live at 22 Cottage Place across the street. And I would just like to say that the letter that we received, the official letter from the town regarding this meeting, was our first notice of this addition. We were not approached at all about this. And so basically the indication that all the abutters were aware of this is not a true statement.
Okay.
I have concerns. We have concerns about the size of this addition. It's more than half the size of the footprint of the existing house. And would be 1 story high, which is concerning. I don't not having access to what this looks like. My initial reaction is I don't think it would fit with the architecture of the house. These houses were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and to put that kind of an addition, from what I understand, I don't think would be in keeping with the neighborhood or the house. So I have concerns about that. It also concerns me that it would set a precedent in the neighborhood that other people might decide that they want to put sunrooms over their decks. And I just don't think it's in keeping with the neighborhood.
Okay,
Do you want
thank
to
you.
add something, Steve?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm,
sorry.
this is Steve Briggs, Michelle's husband.
Yes.
I agree with that, and I think that it would give the whole neighborhood a more congested feeling. Realizing it's in the back, but you know, and the people in the back, Reagan's, yes, they live there now, but somebody could want to buy that house, and it could potentially devalue their house, which could potentially devalue the whole surrounding neighborhood. And I find it quite offensive that a letter was written by Mr. Keeler, who was the chief designer of Brady Built. Not on today, I realize, and this is the president, I understand that. But to have your person write a letter that states the abutting neighbors, of which we are one, directly across the street, all support this project as well, including the sufficient package of support letters from every abutting neighbor supporting approval of the special permit. We were never contacted about this, and we only heard about it when we were notified of the appeal. And that is very offensive to me, that saying I said something that is not true. I find that quite offensive, quite frankly.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Briggs.
you.
So I guess our bottom line right now is, as it stands, we oppose this type of a construction.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your comments, Mr. and Mrs. Briggs, and thank you for sharing them.
Thank you.
And now if the Padavinas would like to join us and give their ideas on things.
Sure. I don't have my camera on. If you want, I can figure out how to turn that on quickly. I've very little to add from the letter that hopefully will be disseminated. But just a couple of comments on the size of the deck. Ms. Capasso said that the deck was going, or the sunroom was going to be exactly the size of the existing deck, which is contradictory to a statement in the Keeler letter that said it was to be 75% of the deck. Exactly the size is 100%, which is actually larger than I had calculated.
I can
earlier.
actually just comment. I was referring to the distance to the rear abutters, which is again in response to the Briggses. To the rear abutters were the people that have approved or written letters, and the size of the addition or sunroom matches the rear distance to the deck, from the deck to the property line, to match exactly what was already approved through the town.
Okay, that I understand.
Thing I'd like to ask you, Mr. Padavina. Mr. Cosper has mentioned that that they could put together some drawings that would make it clearer what this would look like on the Capasso house. And is that something that would be helpful to you to decide if it's to continue your objection with it, or would you feel more comfortable seeing those designs with the house? I'm not, and the reason being, I'm asking the question because I don't want to cause the Capassos to spend more money on this than needs to be. But so if it's not going to convince you, I wouldn't want to put that on them to incur that cost. But I'm just getting your feeling about if that would be something that would be useful to you or not.
I certainly don't want to cost anybody any more money than necessary. You know, we certainly would look at them and make sure that it is within the taste of what exists in the neighborhood, and that it is an appropriate addition. And if it is, we're on board.
Okay.
And if it's not, I also, we were never contacted. They know where we live. And we could have given these comments and saved a lot of hearing time, perhaps. But you know, that being said, yeah, we would entertain a look, and you don't have to get too elaborate on the plans. I do want to just address one thing that you said. We weren't here to litigate before, but Ms. Capasso also brought up we received a special permit for our property, and we didn't alter the footprint of the property at all. So there is a difference in what we did versus what they seek to do. Theirs is to increase the footprint of the main house by about 54%, I think was the number I came up with. Where we were, even our total living space that we added to ours was significantly less than they're seeking to add. So it's a different project, a different type of project. So.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Padavino.
Thank you.
I have
Like to withdraw our application and have a chance to address some of these issues and resubmit at a future time.
And is that what the Capassos want to do?
Yes.
Okay. I have to decide if I will allow it to be withdrawn with or without prejudice. And if
So to help with that, what we would like to do is have an opportunity to put together some more comprehensive drawings. And then I would like to personally reach out to Mr. and Mrs. Briggs and Padavino, and I can come over and bring these nice color drawings and talk to them and maybe go through some iterations on how to address their concerns in person if they're willing to meet with me. But I would like to have that opportunity to meet with them, look at them, hear their concerns directly, and design this room in order to make it meet the fit of the neighborhood and to meet their concerns. So that's what I would ask for time to be able to approach them with that request.
I appreciate that. However, there's always a however. However, the Board of Appeals in 1996, it appears that they intended that nothing be built over this at any time. I don't know that per se, but it's part of the discussion in the decision. So having something that would increase the height that was already there, that was already something that they were very concerned about, and perhaps, you know, another 2 feet they would have said no back then. You run the risk when you have when you have something that's had a special permit to be built, or something that increases the nonconformity of a building, it's usually not, a big deal, because we're not talking about a huge amount of a bulk or space. We're talking about maybe, a house that's built 9 feet from the side lot line rather than the 10 feet. And so they want to, extend and make, a sunroom that's 8 by 10 beyond that. And so it's increasing the nonconformity by some small amount, but not an enormous amount. This, I find that this particular application increases the nonconformity enormously. And so I don't feel that that is something that I can approve with a good conscience.
I certainly understand where you're coming from, and that this is you've made the board's views very clear. I don't have a copy of this 96 variance approval, and I don't know if the minutes are something that would be in that, but I would appreciate a chance to review that and be able to see that. So I am requesting to withdraw without prejudice so that we can review everything. And, we may not come back because I understand what you're telling us, but I would like a chance to be able to review all of that.
Okay. And Mr. Padavina, what is your thoughts on that matter?
I had a lot to do to unmute there. As I said, I would entertain looking at reviewing. Both my wife and I would review anything put before us.
Okay. I'm inclined to grant your request to withdraw without prejudice, but I do want to let all concerned know that anything else that comes in front of the Board of Appeals, it would be a really good thing if your neighbors are taken into consideration, even neighbors that you think might not care one way or another. Give them the opportunity to state what they're thinking, because it can avoid, situations like this where we're probably creating some not great feelings in the neighborhood, which is sad. I mean, it's a dead end street, and you want everybody to be friends. So if you would, please keep your neighbors involved. And the other thing that I would ask is, as somebody that's, the trier of fact here, I need to know more about what this is going to look like. So I would need to know what, the elevations are from each side of the house. I would need more information of what the structural detail is going to be beneath the sunroom, beneath the deck, because it kind of feels like we're having a covered deck, which is almost like a campsite or something like that, as opposed to, creating another room in the house. And so something that if this were to be granted, that the building department will be able to tie their inspections with those plans. So it has to be something that is fairly detailed. So I would ask that before coming back, and therefore I will grant your request to withdraw without prejudice.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. And
258 Pleasant. We have Fiona Kennedy.
okay. Well, we can jump
All
right
right.
in whenever we're
Yep.
ready, since
I think we're good to
after.
go.
Yes, okay. I'm going to start the fourth hearing of the afternoon, upon the application of Richard and Kathleen Kennedy dated November 16th, 2022, on file with the Board of Appeals for a variance allowing a deck addition which would violate the terms of section 61 rear yards of the zoning bylaw. The applicant proposes to build a 16 foot by 24 foot open deck at the rear of their home at 258 Pleasant Street. A plot plan dated 8/30/23/19. What keeps doing? I'm running back to the 1900s. August 23rd, 2022 shows that this deck would be built at a distance of 16.8 feet from the rear property line when normally 30 are required. The property lies in a Residence C zoning district, and including in the in the file, I have the application and denial letter, a plot plan of Fergal Brennock of August 23rd, 2022, and plans showing elevation and framing of the deck. So if the applicants would like to tell me a little bit about their deck, and that they've talked to all their neighbors and their neighbors are in favor of it, or whatever the story is, I'd love to hear it right now.
Can you use Brennick, the designer, or because they're in the audience, I'm not sure if they.
The plot plan was done by Fergal
Perfect.
Brennock. Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna move them right over.
Okay. Okay, you're both on mute now. I have Fiona Kennedy and Fergal Brennick. Fergal's off mute. And I did have one question that I wanted to ask right up off the top. The application had a deck that was 16 by 14 feet, but the ad shows 16 by 24 feet. And I just wanted to make sure what the correct dimensions were.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm Fergal Brannock, engineer. I did the plans, and I didn't actually submit the application, but I prepared both drawings, and the deck is 16 by 24.
24, okay. Well, that is what the actual notice said, so that's fine. That's fine. Okay. Let me ask you, looking at the plot plan, we have your neighbors in here. Have you talked with your neighbors about the application and what you'd like to do with your backyard?
No, we haven't. Not specifically. No, we haven't really discussed it with anybody per se. That begin that I've been living here with something like 20. I'm going to say nearly 27 years or something like that, and that every single neighbor around here have basically done the same thing, and that we've got the letters. You know, like we'll say. For every one of them, you know, like just the process was obviously the same. They had to go through the same thing, and basically every single neighbor around us has done some similar since I've been here. But I don't have any issues with any of them, and I just kind of, you know, like again figured that if they were going to have issues, that they'd obviously going through the process, having gone through the process, that they would raise their concerns either here or with you guys, one or the other.
Okay. Now, I have another question about what is the height of the floor? Is the height of the deck the same as the height of the first floor, roughly?
It would be the same, yes, because what we have is a walkout basement, The front of the house, you could say the first floor is at ground level at the front, but it's at the basement floor level in the rear.
Okay.
So then the deck would be, I'm going to say, I think we estimated it to be roughly about maybe about somewhere 9.5, 10 feet off the ground at the back of the building.
And do you plan to put any kind of lattice work there or anything to, you know?
Underneath the deck, you mean?
Yes.
I could. I mean, like, I suppose one of the things I had done, and I haven't got to completing it, is there is a little seat wall there that there's a patio on the ground at the ground level, and I had intended to put shrubs in there, and then I said I'd wait until see how this went first. Either way, the shrubs would go in to provide screening for that area anyway. Now that, you know, like whether the deck goes there or not, I intend to eventually put some shrubs there to again provide some screening.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a hedge that I put in back at the property line. I put it in about 6 or 7 years ago. That provides quite a bit of screening, but not all the screening, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me just. Crystal, is there anybody that wants to speak on the matter?
No, there isn't, Jenny.
Nobody there. Okay.
No,
What was that?
I was just confirming with you that there was no one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Now, typically, let me ask you: is the walkout basement, is the door going to be underneath the deck?
Would be, yes, correct.
Would the area underneath the deck be used for storage or anything like that, or is that going to be more living space, kind of outdoor living?
The area underneath the deck, like we'll say, right now it's a patio area that you know, like we'll say, there's brick pavers there. Like I said, there's a little seat wall. It would be staying the same, basically. That there would be like maybe a patio table or a chair there, you know. But it wouldn't be for storage. We have two garages already, and that you know, we have sufficient room for storage in the house.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I see John McDonough is.
Yes,
up
he just raised his hand, so I promoted him over.
Okay. Yes.
Good afternoon.
And you are John McDonough?
Correct. I live at 11 Badger Circle, and I share a fence line with the Kennedy's property.
Okay. And
my concern is there is a line of trees between our property. Would that change at all?
No, we would be keeping away that them trees were put in specifically for screening, you could say, between us and you and the other neighbors, and that obviously, like, you know, like we'll say that what we're doing now wouldn't be anywhere near any of them. It wouldn't affect them trees at all, actually. And that again, that them trees, you know, for me, they work as good for me as they work for you, John. That you know, like I am, you know, I put a lot of effort into them to keep them, you know, like they're like I said, they're in there with about 6 years of stuff. They're doing very well, and I am, you know, like again, they will grow to about 20 feet. It'd be the max they're supposed to grow to, and that they're probably at the moment they might be about, I'm going to say, probably about, they would be just around the 10-foot mark at the moment. But they're actually, I'm trying to think of the name of them. They're not an arborvitae. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. I will get it in a minute. I can look it up. But they actually grow to between 20 and 25 feet, and that the trees that you have on your side of the fence, they're pine trees. And that's what I've been told that, a long time ago by the previous owner, or might even be the owner before the one that you bought the house from, that they typically, them pine trees that, like they would grow to 40 feet high, but that they get brittle, and that they're, they're inclined to, how would you put it, like the thin out and stuff, and they get brittle, and then sometimes that the tops of them break off in heavy wind or snow, and that, like I figured that these would be coming in good by the time the mother ones, if they ever fail. That was kind of my idea with them putting them trees in there. And the whole idea is, obviously, like I said, to have screening between all of us, all our neighbors. So I definitely would not be doing anything whatsoever with them. Anything that would be hindering them.
Mr. McDonough, does that alleviate your concern?
Certainly does. That was our only, from this side of the fence, that was our only concern, was that they would put the deck up so high on the house there, and that it would really be overlooking our yard, but as long as the trees stay as is, no issue on this side of the fence.
Okay.
All right.
Very good. Is there anybody else, or shall we
No,
make a
it looks like that's it, Jenny.
Okay, well, I'm going to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing and decide on the application right now. I did take a drive by, and I looked from Badger Circle, as well as, from Pleasant Street and so forth, and I saw the lay of the land and was a little bit concerned about how high that deck would be, and if that would be problematic for people on the back end of Badger Circle. But it does have a lot of trees and so forth, and so my concern was alleviated, and it's certainly alleviated when Mr. McDonough asked that the trees would be maintained there, because that's something that makes it picturesque for his house, and not having to look at your proposed deck.
Understandably so. They work as good for me as they do for them.
Exactly. They say fences make good neighbors, well, so do trees, right? But at any rate, I think that this will be a nice addition to your house as well as to the neighborhood, and I believe that it does not degrade at all from the purpose of the zoning bylaw. And so I'm voting to grant you the special permit for the building of the deck to the rear of your house. It's going to take me a little while to write the decision on that.
Yeah.
But I'll try to get that out as quickly as possible. Once it goes to town hall, it is filed with our town secretary, who gives it a 20-day appeal period, which is statutory. And once the 20-day appeal period is over, you'll be notified, and at that point you can pull the permit from the building department.
Right.
So congratulations on your new deck, and may you have many happy times there.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, so we have Marion back for 125 Thatcher.
Okay. And we can start that whenever we're all unmuted. And
hold on just a second. I need to make sure the Kennedys are promoted back. All right, we're all set.
Okay. Well, I'm going to recall the hearing on 125 Thatcher Street. Marion McKettrick is here to represent the applicants, and I'll turn it over to hear Attorney McKettrick's request.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm Marion McKettrick. And we've actually had a couple of hearings on this application. I have, before this hearing, sent a letter to you, the Board of Appeals, asking to withdraw the application. And what the applicant actually has done is gone back to the building commissioner with revised drawings that move the addition in slightly so that there is no requirement for a variance on the right side. So if she wants to build the addition, she doesn't require any relief from the Board of Appeals. And the building commissioner has confirmed that the drawings are compliant at this point. The other part of this application, the more difficult one, was that she wanted to create a third unit in the basement of the addition, and she is withdrawing that application. We have asked to.
Was that a third or a second unit?
Sorry, second unit. I'm
Second,
thinking
just-
of another application.
Another application. I
Sorry about
know.
that. Yeah, it was only a second unit, but even so. This property doesn't qualify for an application for a special permit for a 2-unit structure because there is a 2-family on only one side, but not on the other side. So she would have required a variance in order to do that. And it was clear from the prior hearings that the neighbors weren't sure they supported that part of the application. And she did not want to go forward under those circumstances. Now, I have asked if you would allow withdrawal without prejudice, and this is the reason. I don't think it's highly likely, but if the town should decide to pass some kind of accessory unit bylaw that would permit by special permit a second unit to be created in a similar fashion to what she is applied for now, she would like to be able to come back and apply that way. I'm not sure whether a withdrawal with prejudice would prevent her from doing that, but in order to be cautious, I'm asking if you would accept the withdrawal without prejudice. This does not mean that she's going to come back in with the same application without any new zoning that might allow it. That's not her intention. But the reason for wanting withdrawal without prejudice is in case there's a change in the zoning in the next 2 years.
Well, I think that's probably a very good reason for having the withdrawal without prejudice. So I will grant that request.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you for the time that you did spend on this application. There were a couple of pieces of missing information, and I think it just gave everybody a chance to think about it some more, which is a good thing because it wasn't an easy request to make. So thank you very much. I think you can just, you have to have something in writing. I don't have to record it. It's not really a decision. You just have to state that you're accepting the withdrawal. So I'll just wait until you're able to provide a letter to some kind of filing for the Board of Appeals to that effect.
And Crystal, do you have a document for that purpose?
I do not. I can look into it though. This is the first two actually tonight. But,
Yeah, big night, right?
that I've, it's come about since I've been doing this the past year, but
Okay.
I can definitely look into it for you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, if I find an example that I've done, I'll certainly send it over to Crystal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you both.
Okay, thank you. Have a good
All
night,
right.
everybody.
Good night,
You
Jenny.
too.
Good night, Marion. Thank you.
Thank you.